Welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to teach you how to actually step back into your humanness, how to feel and process your feelings and emotions, understand them better so that you can go out there and actually be more human. Let's dive in. I'm going to teach you from my own past struggles because this is something that I really struggle with for a really long time. And I always like to say it on the podcast, I am in no sort of way a perfect human. I am just another flawed individual trying to figure out this whole life thing. And as I start to figure more stuff out, I start to share more stuff with you guys. I always like to use myself as the guinea pig. And one thing that I learned is that I had picked up a defense mechanism early in my childhood, my teen years, and it kind of carried with me for a little while. And one thing that I notice in other people, because of the fact that it's like, oh, I can see this in myself, I know how to work through it, then I start to see it in other people, is that one thing that I notice in this defense mechanism that we all kind of build in ourselves is that we tend to block out a lot of feelings and a lot of emotions. And for me, I blocked out a lot of my feelings and a lot of emotions for years and years and years. And, I think having an alcoholic father and, things that came from it and him saying he's going to pick me up sometimes and never showed up, stuff that I experienced before the age of 10, before my parents got divorced, just kind of made me start to block out some emotions. And I think a lot of people do this. Then there was him passing away at 15 years old. And like 4 days later, I went back to school and I told nobody. I think I just learned, not purposefully, it wasn't something I did consciously in any sort of way. I just learned not to allow myself to feel my feelings, and then just to have things happen in my life, and then just to go on about my day, pushing them all away. And to the point where actually, at one point in time, there was one day where I actually wondered, I was like, do I just not have any feelings towards anything at all? Like I had pushed them away for so long that I was just kind of numb to feelings. I was kind of numb to everything. And I had to go on this path of like rediscovering my humanness. And so I think a lot of people do this. I think this is something that we all kind of naturally do. A lot of times, you can have something really bad happen to you, like somebody that you really love dies. And it hurts so much that what you would rather do is be busy instead of actually feel it. Like we've all heard someone do this before. We have done this before, right? Someone is going through a lot of pain. They're going through a lot of grief. And instead of actually feeling it and processing it and letting go of it and releasing it, they say something like, well, I just need to keep myself busy right now. AKA, I don't want to let myself feel the pain. And this is something that we know how to do, to release emotions and let them work through us so we don't have to carry on with them. How do we do it? Well, children do it all the time. Children throw temper tantrums when it's a very heightened experience. Now, mind you, children don't process the world the same way that we do. And one of the biggest things that I see that parents make huge mistakes of is treating their 3-year-old or 4-year-old as if they're a 27-year-old and they're processing the world the same way. They're not. What can be traumatic to them is absolutely nothing to us. And so, children will throw temper tantrums. And at a certain age, it's fine. It's not a big deal when they're a newborn. But at a certain age, the parents are like, I've had enough of this. And most people's parents just say, hey, enough of the temper tantrums, and they make them stop. And I think that we subconsciously learn that those feelings and those emotions and expressing those emotions are bad. And so we learn, okay, I feel this feeling of I need to let go of this emotion, but I don't, I'm just going to hold on to it. And we kind of learn that. Not blaming anybody. Children do what they do. Parents do what they do. But I just want you to become aware of maybe your children, if they're throwing a temper tantrum, now, obviously they might be trying to get what they want, but maybe there's also emotions running through them that they're trying to get rid of. And so the important thing to really think about is that most of us have been taught to repress and depress our emotions instead of express them, right? So when we depress them and when we repress them instead of express them, it can lead to depression. There's just so much emotion that's inside of our body. We don't know what to do with it. We don't know how to release it. And it's just easier to do almost nothing. So what do? We're in this situation. Some of you guys listening are like, man, I completely relate to that. What do I do? Well, you've got to give yourself permission to feel again. That's the first thing. Give yourself permission to feel, to have emotions, and to be a human and realize there's nothing wrong with it. Coming from somebody, me, who cut off his feelings for a very long time, I'm giving you full permission to feel again. As you allow yourself start to release a lot of these things, if you think you're the type of person that has a short temper, you don't have a short temper. You'll notice years down the road when you start expressing all this stuff that you don't really have much of a temper. The short temper was just a buildup of all of these emotions that you never let yourself feel. All this anger from your childhood and your teenage years and being bullied that you never let yourself feel. You don't have a short temper. You just didn't process your emotions correctly. You're not a sad person. It's just maybe you didn't process that sadness when you were younger. And so allow yourself just to kind of reconnect. Give yourself permission to be a human again. Because I promise you, you can feel at a much deeper capacity than you know. And as you start to get better at expressing your emotions, you'd also start to understand your emotions a whole lot more. And that is for a whole other episode. So that's what I got for you for today's episode. If you love this episode, please do me a massive favor. There's a lot of people in this world right now that are going through the exact same thing and need to hear this. If you could share it on your Instagram stories and tag me in it, Rob Dial Jr., ROBDIALJR, I would appreciate it. The only way this podcast grows is from you guys sharing it and from grassroots. And so I want to continue to help more and more people. And the way that we do that, obviously, is from more people finding out about it, from you sharing it. So if you'd like to share it, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. I just had a friend text me this morning who lives in Rome, Italy. And he's in a group text with his volleyball group. And a lady that's in his volleyball group shared one of my podcast episodes inside of their WhatsApp. And he sent me a screenshot and he's like, this is awesome. So like, she loved the episode. She sent it to 18 of her friends that she plays volleyball with. So whatever it might be for you for sharing it, I would greatly appreciate it. And with that, I'm going to leave you the same way I leave you every episode. Make it your mission to make someone else's day better. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have an amazing day.